Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Real Chumps, where chatting about movies feels like hanging out with friends. I'm your host, Marcel, and with me is my co-host, Danny.
This week, we are continuing our month-long watch of classic movies we've never seen before with It's a Wonderful Life. Directed by Frank Capra, written by Francis Goodrich, Albert Hackett, Frank Capra, starring James Stewart, the wonderful Donna Reed, Lionel Barrymore, Thomas Mitchell, Henry Travers, and many more.
In this episode, we discuss our love for the characters of George and Mary Bailey, why this Christmas classic didn't quite hit the mark for us, and we pitch our Real Chumps rewrite. But before we roll that intro, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
Join in on that conversation by following us on YouTube and other social at Real Chums.
Let's roll that intro.
You said you have a pretty great question of the day.
I do. I was driving earlier today and I was like, boom, it came to me. So here it is, okay? And I'm going to preface it with a little bit of knowledge for this movie. Spoilers ahead. Clarence, the angel, right? We are told that he's been an angel for 200 years and that he's had several screw-ups, and that's why he hasn't earned his wings. And so now Franklin and Joseph assign him to go and help out George Bailey, right? In your head canon, or even better, a studio approaches you, Danny, and says, I want a prequel, show, series, movie, whatever it is, on Clarence, on what happened in those 200 years from when he died in 1746 to 1946. As to why he hasn't earned his wings. What would your pitch be? Or what's your headcanon?
My headcanon? Okay. This is a great question.
Because he is a screw-up, right?
Yeah.
What did they say? He has the brain of a mouse, but the heart of or the faith of a child. Or something like that, they say.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to talk about this movie. Clarence, I think that maybe headcanon is he is trying to earn his wings, and he has ended up pushing everybody into insanity.
He makes yeah.
And then because no one learns their lessons, and so whatever they wished for that he granted them cause them to go nuts, and they all yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, a studio gives me a budget for it. It's a Wonderful Life cinematic universe. Okay. This is the prequel to it. I would do a series, different episodes, or a limited series run. Each episode is a different era in those 200 years. And you just put Clarence in like the funniest situation, almost like a Mr. Bean.
This is okay. That's where I was going, because I'm like, this would be great as like a little anthology.
Yeah,
and it's just literally Clarence interacting with somebody who isn't like famous, but is connected.
No, here's my pitch. Okay, you start off the pilot episode, the first episode. He dies, right? It's been 30 years, right? He dies in 1746. 1730s, and the angels send him down during like the American Revolutionary War.
Yes. Okay.
And like he just to help out the soldiers out in the field, to help out the colonists. Okay, and it turns out like he just keeps screwing things up, Mr. Bean style. Okay, and like because of him, the war continues to get like prolonged, and like they eventually pull him out, and they're like, you know what? I think we'll just let the colonists do their own thing because you're screwing things up. Next episode, you have him. They're in like the American Civil War. No, here's the one. You send him down. Okay. Lincoln. It's 1860, whatever it is. 1860 something. Lincoln is president. He's trying to unite the country, trying to abolish slavery. He has problems at home. They send Clarence down to be his guardian angel, Lincoln's guardian angel, okay? And he just keeps screwing things up. The Gettysburg Address is only like 270 something words.
Yes.
Okay, it's short, impactful. Turns out Lincoln wrote a longer version of it, but Clarence like knocked over ink or like accidentally threw it in the fire.
So you know, like make an abridgment, and now
And so Lincoln ended up like having to pivot and write only a small version of it. At the end of that episode, we've abolished slavery. The reason maybe this might be a little bit too insensitive. The reason we celebrate Juneteenth, right, is because Texas didn't get the memo that Clarence is involved in that. Or the last episode, or the last act is they tell Clarence the next morning, you're going to go see a play with Lincoln. Okay? You have to prevent the assassination of the president. And because they go see Our American Cousin, which is a comedy, he gets caught up in the comedic bits of the play and totally forgets to save the president. I'm telling you. And the final episode is early episodes. He's dealing with God. Okay,
Yeah,
God
yeah.
is the one that's sending him. God eventually gets frustrated and is like, "I'm assigning you to Franklin and Joseph." Okay,
good old Franklin Joseph.
and the final episode is the Titanic. Okay, he gets sent now.
Yes!
1912 to like inform the captain that the Titanic's gonna sink. And as we know in the movie, good old Clarence likes a good alcoholic beverage. Okay, so he goes to England. I think the Titanic launched from Southampton. I can't remember. Anyways, but he gets caught up with like at a bar, at a pub. Okay, forgets to board the Titanic.
No. He gets on the train, but gets stuck in the downstairs party and is drunk the whole time, and ends up dancing the entire time.
The whole entire time. And so then he gets pulled out, and that's why he hasn't gotten his wings. I'm telling you, there is a Mr. Bean style like slapstick humor, physical comedy
so good, yeah.
with Clarence as to why he hasn't gotten his wings. And he's just involved in all of like the big disasters of the 1700s and 1800s and early 1900s because of Clarence in history.
Oh, that's freaking great. 78 years too late. This series is 78 years too late. Maybe not 78. We'll go 75 years.
There you go. And you get a good comedic like actor to do
yes. It would have been great.
I'm telling you.
Look, I think this has me wanting to know. Okay, this is the first time we both have watched this movie.
Oh yeah, so this was your pick, right? You gave this option, and to our listeners out there, you guys voted on this hardcore. This got the most votes.
It did. I also put it on here as like kind of like a joke because I was like, what classic movie have I like is out here that like I just never seen? And I'm like, oh, it's a Wonder Life. Whatever, you know, the classic. What do you want? I'll throw a lasso around the moon and bring, you know, like
we know the beats, right? Like we know good old Jimmy Stewart, and I've always, at least for me, I've always seen that final scene, right? The bell, the little jingle, and daddy.
Yeah.
My teacher said that every time a bell jingles or whatever, an angel
Yeah.
gets his wings. Yeah, you're right, honey. Susie. Suzu. So like I've seen it. It's in the media. It's been parodied, just like Citizen Kane, right?
Yeah.
It's been parodied a lot, and so like I've always kind of gotten it, but like I've never seen it. At least for me, I've never seen this movie. I've always like,
yeah, I've only seen the clips. Like to me, I'm like truly like I'm like, oh, that's where that like that, I'm like, oh, now I have the context of like whatever. Okay, can I start now? Let me tell you. I do not know how this movie's been clipped. The amount of times that it's been clipped in the way that it's been clipped and referenced, it's like completely out of context, and it's like the only parts that you're like, oh, that makes sense, because everything else around it is like, not like the movie isn't bad, because it's a quirky, fun movie. Like I like laughed throughout the entire movie at different times, but I'm like the moments that we are like supposed to be the most heartwarming. I'm like, yeah, is it the most heartwarming?
Okay,
Because
all right.
like I feel like George Bailey is he's like caught up in like I don't think he knows what he's caught up in. Like he just is going about life. So I'm excited to talk about this a little bit with you because I'm like I felt like a little bit of whiplash at some points throughout the movie with George.
Okay.
Which I think maybe could be the point, but this movie's also like you kind of zone in and out because there's some moments that you're like, okay, what's happening now? This is still a thing? How's that guy not dead? Good old Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter. Let's give a quick synopsis. So this movie follows George Bailey, who, after a lifetime of putting aside his needs, his interests, his goals and motivations, he becomes frustrated and is contemplating a suicide. And so an angel is then sent to help him out. His guardian angel sent to help him out and show him what life would have been like if he had never existed.
Yes.
I want to read let me pull up the synopsis, like the official synopsis. An angel is sent from heaven to help a desperately frustrated businessman by showing him what life would have been like if he had never existed. This is the premise, okay? The official synopsis.
Yeah.
That's like the last 30 minutes. There were several times in this movie where I was like, am I watching the right movie? Like, where is this angel? Like, I hear the conversation, the narrating, but like, isn't there an angel supposed to be sent down here to like help out? Like, so what are they going to help out
I
with?
went cold turkey into this.
Okay.
I'm just going to turn this on and let it be. And the whole the opening sequence with the God
the solar systems,
the solar systems, and the
Franklin and Joseph.
And I just thought, was this a church movie?
I remember looking at it, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I love how they describe freaking Clarence, as we talked about.
Yes.
But yeah, there were several times in this movie where I was like, am I watching the right movie? This is Jimmy Stewart. There's the whole lasso around the moon scene. But yeah, the whole angel doesn't appear till the end. Also, I watched this on Freevee.
Yeah, you watched the abridged version?
It was marketed as the abridged version, okay? Because I was like, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know if I can do this. And then the abridged version was like an hour and 35, an hour and 40. I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah, no, it cuts. It cut several times because then I went back and rewatched it and I was like, that was not in the abridged version. It cut out like 30 minutes. And so like now I'm confused as well in the timeline a little bit.
It cut at different parts of the movie, or did it cut one chunk of the movie?
No, I think it cut at different times. Because, so there's the one scene where like they do like a recap of where everyone is out. Like, Harry Bailey got shipped off to war.
Yeah.
The taxi driver is out doing something. It gave you like life updates on different characters.
Oh, interesting.
It was like a minute, 2 minute like quick recap on where everyone is at in life.
In the abridged version?
In the original version.
Oh, yeah.
That was not in the abridged version. Because I was watching the original after and I was like, I don't remember that. And like, I don't really care to know what the taxi guy is up to during this time. Like, that was a good decision to cut out. But then like it randomly cuts to the angel jumping into the water.
Yeah.
And then they're drying out. And then it just, mid-conversation, it cuts to then George Bailey being happy and running back home and like looking for his wife and kids. So like it missed the whole like the actual premise of the movie of the angel showing him what life would have been like if he had never existed. So like I was so confused. I was like, wait, what? I haven't seen this movie, but I know there's a big chunk here that's missing. So I had to go back and rewatch it again, the real version.
All right, so the lesson in life here, Marcel, is that you should never cut corners.
Yeah, kids, don't take shortcuts in life. because then it just doesn't work out. You have to
Rewatch the movie.
rewatch the movie again to understand it.
Okay, so I want to ask this question today.
Okay.
What was your actual feeling of this movie?
I don't know why people consider... There are people who religiously watch this every Christmas. And I don't know why. And I actually want to pose this question to our listeners and followers who voted for us to watch this. What is it about this movie that you love? Why do you watch it every Christmas? And is it more of the nostalgia of it? Because I don't see why I would show this to my children. It's a very sad, depressing movie, and very little of it takes place during Christmas. This is just a regular movie that the last act is Christmas time. And so for me, I would have never been oh, It's a Wonderful Life? Yay, we're going to watch it every 15th of December. It's not the holidays until we watch It's a Wonderful Life. There are much more iconic, better, and more wonderful movies than It's a Wonderful Life. Christmas movies out there.
I would watch A White Christmas 1,000 times over as a Christmas movie than this movie.
And why for you?
It's a Christmas movie. It's way more centered around the act of Christmas, about bringing people together, about wanting to show support. This movie is not a Christmas movie. This movie is a midlife crisis movie.
Yes.
It's also a movie. It's also more of a comedy that is trying to masquerade as a love story, and it does a really bad job at it.
So for me, let me tell you what I absolutely loved about this movie. I loved the time that we had George Bailey and Mary on screen together.
Okay, George Bailey and Mary on screen. I love the character dynamics between the two. I love George Bailey, period. I think George Bailey is a fun character.
Yeah, he's a great character. Okay, I see why people gravitate to this character, why we love him so much. They do a great job as a kid. The hour and a half of his whole adulthood, we see this man's entire life. This movie is way too long. Okay, throughout this movie, and we'll get to it, but throughout this movie, I was thinking, if this movie had been made today, and not necessarily a remake, but had it been made today, we would have gone to the point a lot faster. And for example, the scene when he's at home when George Bailey is at home with his dad, and Harry is graduating. He's there to pick up some dishes, and dad sits him down and he says, I need you to take over the family business, and blah, blah, blah. And George is no, but I'm going to be an adventurer and I want to go explore the world. And you have Anna or Annie, the maidservant, listening.
I loved her.
She's great.
So much. I wrote down that's why all children should be girls.
Yeah, that whole scene in a movie today would have been 2 minutes with more, instead of dragging out that whole interaction and dialogue between the dad and George. That would have been 2 minutes in a modern day setting, and then we would have gotten the same impact and the same message across.
Bro, I felt it's they didn't know what they wanted the movie to be, because at one point I'm is this a movie about? Because the poster itself, let's just talk about the breakdown. It's okay, like you said, the angel sent from heaven to help this really frustrated businessman, by showing him what it's like. Why businessman? It is focused on the businessman.
Yeah.
Even though it's supposed to be about the family, that's why he's frustrated. At the end of the day, he's frustrated with his life choices. Even because he's not he's a businessman, but I don't. He's caught up in the business. Yes. And is it's taking and is making it hard for his family, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking in circles.
I think, and maybe this is the sentiment that I'm getting at. This is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's not a Christmas movie, and I think I like you said, it's a midlife crisis movie. It's a man who's frustrated with the circumstances in his life that were out of his control, and he finds himself at this point in his life, like really wondering, like, why, and what am I doing next?
Yeah,
and the whole Christmas aspect of it, which is again, like, I want to know what family out there is watching this every Christmas, and if you're not, why did your parents make you watch this every Christmas? Like, because there is a demographic out there that this is their iconic Christmas movie.
That's the thing. Well, like, my thing is, like, even though Mary, I mean, first Donna Reed, fantastic
Donna
job.
Reed, and can we just talk about, like, she looks beautiful in every scene in this movie. And there are many times, like, we talked about this in Citizen Kane, like, but like the lighting. Did you watch this in color or in black and white?
I watched it in black and white.
Okay, good. So did I. I had the option to watch it in color. I'm like, no, I'm gonna watch it in as it was filmed.
I didn't know there was an option.
Yeah, but there are times in this movie where, like, it's so dark and, like, not grimy, but like dark, and you can't tell who's what. But every time Donna Reed as Mary is on screen, you can tell they just took the time to light it perfectly for her. The angles on her, and they're just like, she is incredible. And I love the relationship between, and the interactions between her and George Bailey.
This is why I was like struggling, because like the scene that is the most iconic is like, well, what do you want, Mary? You want the moon? I'll throw a lasso and I'll bring it to you, right? But then he, like, the, like, leading up to that doesn't feel like he's trying to, like, anything's happening.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they have this one little question with, like, the wish, and then, like, him talking about what does she want, and then it gets funnily with her, like, him stepping on the robe,
the strapped robe,
after their fun, quirky dance moves of not being able to dance and falling in the pool, which is so great. But to just leaving her there to go deal with the dad, even though, like, that's a good motivating factor, it's not motivating to what we really want for the story. Yes, in the fact that, like, he has to, like, it's motivating in the sense, like, okay, he's going to become a businessman, but, like, why not have that moment with Mary and or engage, like, something happened else more. Like, I just wanted more in that moment, and then later when like he's like his mom's like, you should go talk to Mary.
Yeah.
And he goes in there and he has like this, like, he's like a bum into, like, and she's like so excited. She's got this beautiful painting thing, or like little, like, art craft, her art project on, like, that she's been ruminating on this thing for years. And so, like, have it not, like, this is where I'm like, I don't feel like we get a payoff. Like, they do kind of do a setup, but then they want to pay it off, but then it doesn't. And then even with the phone call, but the thing is, like, the pimp shit.
I hate freaking Sam, dude. Was it Sam? Is that his name?
I think so.
I hate Sam. Is this a thing of the 1930s? Sam with something.
Yeah. And then the mom, like,
anyway,
I don't know. I like, the thing is, like, George Bailey and James Stewart and Donna Reed, like, their chemistry's great.
Yeah.
And so, like, it worked, and especially for the time what they did. But when it comes to story, I just, like, it's like almost there every single time.
Well, and that's the thing, like, and that's why I also was a bit confused of, like, oh, is this a romantic? Is this a romance movie? Like,
but it's not.
But it's not, right? And I think that's what I wanted. I wanted more out of the dynamic between him and Mary, between George and Mary. What that, them being in a relationship, either courting each other or after they're married, while they're married, and what these circumstances in life impacted them as a couple.
Okay, I want to really dive into that, because look, we can talk about a lot of things. Is there what is like one? Let's do a quick fire shot of a couple things that we liked, what we don't like, and then I think I want to spend the last half of it talking about, like, what would be a remake to make this.
That's okay, right?
Are you not okay?
That's hard because there are people who obviously think this movie is incredible.
But let's.
Okay.
I think we're dude.
Sure.
This is real chumps, bro.
This is real chumps.
We're just homies. I want to talk about this movie because the thing is, like, there's a lot of really great elements here that, like, let's say they did do like a remake. Because I feel like this could be not an easy, but like this could be a movie that could be brought back. Could be done even like period style.
Yeah.
And like you update maybe like what would I would like to have.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's maybe what I would want to do. Okay. And I think because like there's just it's there, but like you said, it's just too slow. It's like it feels a little like all over the place. So like let's do a quick fire stop. You pick quick 3 things that you want to talk about. I don't care what it is.
Okay.
I'll talk about it real fast, and then we'll spend the last little bit just what ifing.
So I really want to like emphasize. I love the relationship and the chemistry between Mary and George, between Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed. I think she lights up the screen every time. I love that you design this character as at a young age, right? She whispers to George, "I will love you forever," and he can't hear because he's deaf out of one ear, and you have this like, will he not like go for Violet, or is he gonna go for Mary? I like that dynamic. I like this like love triangle almost, but it's not. Again, had they committed more to it, but it's okay. So I love the romance aspect of it and wanted more. We'll get to the what ifs. I really and I don't know, like you design this great character of George Bailey. He's your everyday man who gets put into these circumstances, and you immediately fall in love with the character. He saves his brother at a young age. You take the time to build the reasons as to why I want to like this character, and why I fall in love with him, right? Because he is an everyday man. He puts aside willingly or at times forcibly his own needs and desires for others, right? And we can and at the end, that's why we cheer for him and we love this character. And then something that was kind of like unique, I love, I don't know, like I just love how like anti-capitalist this movie is. For a movie from 1946, like
for reals though,
you have this socialist who's going against capitalism. Like Jimmy Stewart is a socialist, and he's just like, I'm going against everything. Like, and so like I don't know. There's this underlying like political thread here as well that I was not expecting from this movie, and I enjoyed it.
Is there something you did not enjoy?
That I did not. This movie's way too long.
That's it. Okay?
It's way too long. The whole like taking an hour and 40 minutes to tell me the life story of this guy is too much. You can really cut that down to half. The first act, we'll get to our what ifs, okay? But it's too long. We take too much time with characters that we don't need to. And I don't like that we didn't spend enough, that we didn't position Donna Reed, the character of Mary, as a leading co-star with him in carrying and pushing this story forward.
Okay. I would agree with everything you said. I absolutely, like you said, and I want to reemphasize, I did enjoy this movie.
Yeah. And let me be clear. Like, I felt all the feels, okay? I loved it. I was like, oh, this is cute. Like, yes, George, like, I feel for you. I love it. I see why people like it. I don't know why people like it as much, though. But, like, that's it.
But my thing is, like, I liked it. I just don't think, like, in its current state, I don't think it could be, like, it's a great movie. It's not, I don't think it's at that point of, like, this should be a classic. It's a classic movie. There are classic moments in this film. Yes. And that I agree. I built full-heartedly believe. Every moment that is like clipped for something or referenced in some other movie is because it's a classic moment that just has amazing, moxie that It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I also really I think that what they did, they spent the hour and 45 minutes, which we're gonna get to in a little bit, like to help us understand George, but and obviously the only other gripe I have is I wish they would have introduced more of Clarence and the angels and like commenting on different things a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like they did a couple times and then they basically stopped, and then it's just like it is what it is. And then finally, the only other gripe I have is like I agree. I really enjoyed this fight between George Bailey and
Mr. Potter.
And Mr. Potter.
Yeah.
I think that the clash there and what he was trying to do with him in the community, could have been like, it just needed to be. It could have been amazing.
Yeah.
So, with all that said, for those who like, I honestly don't know. I literally like looked at the classic movies. I'm like, let's throw this in there for kicks and giggles, and the fact that so many people. Great for you. Okay. We're happy. We are happy. I'm happy that I did end up watching this movie.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that I finally got around to it.
I'm now really happy to discuss what we would do. We haven't done this in a while. A real Chums rewrite.
Here's how I would structure this movie.
Sorry, no, you keep going.
Okay. I would take the first act of this movie, introducing George Bailey, who he is as a character, his character, his core values, how he helps the community, how he gets put into these situations of I'm gonna go explore the world. I hate being in this small town, and I'm gonna go explore the world, go to college, etc. You can condense that to about 35-ish minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, 35 minutes. Introduce me to the character. I would end that first act, begin the second act, and we've been introduced to Mary throughout the first act, but I would then focus the second act on his relationship with Mary and what life is like as seeing him fall in love. Like let's spend more time into that. Because look, I love George Bailey, but he was a dick when he went to go see, which
freaking dick.
Yeah, intentional. Okay, I get it. But he was a dick, and part of me was like, "Mary, you deserve better." Like
100%. The whole time, the fact that she even they had a little moment when he's on the phone with a guy who's trying.
It is going. I hate you, Sam. I hate Sam so much.
I actually I almost turned off the movie at that point because I was so mad.
Yeah, I was mad, and like. You made me fall in love with this character. At that point, we're like 35.
No, we love the character.
Yeah, we're like 35,
and
40 minutes.
And we want them to be with Mary.
We want them to be with her, right? And we see this other side, and again, intentional, but there was a part of me where I was just like, I want to see them fall in love, right? I wanted to explore that because Mary loves him. She told him at a young age, I will always love you, and I will marry you, right? And you know that that night after the party and her in the robe, that night is like seared into her brain. And she's been thinking about that night for years while she was off to college. And she drew the painting, right? And like she's been building up to this moment. A moment that's like she's played out in her head. He just kind of ruins it. And I kind of wanted to see a redemptive arc on his part in winning her back, rather than just jumping on the call with Sam and like that whole interaction and the aggressive necking and face cheek and whatnot. But like I wanted more of like what's it like for these two to fall in love, for him to fall in love with her, and seeing that relationship, and then date a bit, and then talk about his dreams, his desires of what he wants to do, and how she fits in his goals, and her dreams and her desires, and how he fits into those dreams, right? And then we see them get married, and then we jump into that whole fiasco with the bank thing. and continue to explore that relationship. I really wanted the movie to be focused on this, so that when Uncle Uncle Billy loses the
Freaking
8,000,
Billy.
then we see how impactful that is for her as well. I feel like we saw that interaction, how he gets mad at the kids, etc. But then she disappears for that last act.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of that. So I would focus that second act on that, and end the second act with I would actually I wanted more of the what if you had never been born scenario. I think that was just too quick. And it was too quick, but yet it dragged in the same because
so I'm going to hop in on this
please,
part. Okay,
please.
so I think I'm with you. However, I think the only other portion I was like, okay, one, we still have Clarence and the Angels.
Yeah.
Okay. The first act is them visiting the moments, these little moments that help us understand. In every single one, Mary is involved in it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have these little moments that we fall in love with Mary in we get to know George, but we fall in love with Mary.
Yeah.
Because we know that she loves George in every one of the things. But every single one of them is slightly comedic. The Angels what are the other angels? Freaking
Joseph and Franklin.
So Joseph and Franklin are trying to help Clarence not get screwed up, right? They're trying to give him pointers, helping them, not exposition, but just quirky. Look, see,
So you're saying they're actual characters.
So
they're actually people.
It's
kind of interacts with throughout the life.
Not George, not with George. Just
okay.
they're it's third. It's almost breaking fourth wall. It's they did
okay, yeah,
you know how they stopped it. It's they stopped the tape and then they're this. Who's this person?
Yeah.
This is George Bailey, right? These little moments that we have in that first act. The second act, 100%, like you said. I think we have the little bit of the love story. The middle of that second act is the marriage, and then the beginning of the real struggle with Potter. Mm-hmm. We have a little moments that we've introduced Potter. We've had we get a little bit more of the struggle. We see a little bit why people vote for him to stay as the chair, and he loses out on another opportunity, right? But we don't fully understand why, right? And in as he gets married, as he and his wife start to do what they've been doing for the people in the community, Potter starts to really push pressure down on him, and does a little bit of the bank stuff. And I think that's when we bring in Clarence he gets introduced. He's trying to help him begin to navigate. We have little moments of him hopping in, maybe with different people.
Yeah.
At whatever. But we have these little snippets. And then the third act is the end of the second act is him wishing he was never born.
Yeah.
And Clarence, the third act is him trying to have the understand. And he we do get not just him running around having this weird it's Back to the Future. It's this weird thing where he just runs around and it's a different world.
I love that. I love that Bedford Falls becomes Back to the Future #2. If Biff got the almanac, right, the sports almanac, and I love that Bedford Falls just turns into the Las Vegas Strip.
I know, right? I'm
a mini version of the Strip.
It's great, but I'm okay. I get what they're doing, but he's running around this thing. I just think that they're we could explore maybe something a little bit. Maybe if we're gonna go Christmassy, right? It's Christmas past, but this perspective, this is what it is. But I think we don't focus on Christmas. We just focus on different moments of his life, and he Clarence resets different little things of him still being in those situations, like he ends up reliving. He like falls asleep and he wakes up, I don't know, in like a different situation, or I don't know, something to that. We could have something there, but the whole goal, right? At the end of the aspect is that every single time he comes in, he has a moment where he is reminded of something that him and Mary had, that like him realizing at the end, it's not just about his life. It's like his life is great because he loves and he's with Mary.
Yes. And I think I would have loved to. I something that I hate is that in this alternate reality, had he not been born, Mary is this old maiden. A 24-year-old old maiden, working at the library, right? And
freaking hardcore eye roll.
Different times. Yes, I like that. I really would love for them to have dug into that relationship. I do love the whole line that Clarence says, right? Let me pull it up. Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, right? And like, I think that's what, again, the theme of this message is that connectedness to individuals, to communities, to everyone around us, and the impact that we can have not only in our own life, but in the lives of others. If we are a good or a positive or a negative impact that we can have on the lives of others, right? And so like that, I like that message, that theme, but you can incorporate Mary into that, right? And and the impact that it would have had more on her had she not been around, right? Or he not been around. This movie was just too long.
Well,
I struggle with so many issues, and we talked about this with Citizen Kane came out 5 years prior to this, but Citizen Kane is it knows what it's trying to tell. It wants to give us, and I'm referencing Citizen Kane just because we talked about it recently, right, and it's a classic we hadn't seen.
Go check out that podcast if you haven't.
Or you hadn't seen. Yeah, but it knows what it's trying to say, and it gets to that. And it gives us these different perspectives, right, from these three characters on their interactions with Charles Foster Kane. And we see that. And although it doesn't feel long, we are every shot in that movie is to support the overarching story. Whereas here there were times where I'm just like, let's move on. Like, I'm struggling to continue to move forward. I get it. He's a nice guy. I get it. He keeps getting screwed in life out of these situations that he can't control. Like, let's really get into the dilemma of it all, and how we come to that resolution.
So I agree. So this is how I think, like, these are the moments I think that would be great for the opening act, right? I think I was a little shook by the opening scene with him as a kid and he gets freaking slapped upside the head. I was like, what? Like, I'm like, I had a little bit of web, like angels, and then all of a sudden, child labor, child abuse,
work endangerment, like.
Yeah, all sorts of crazy stuff, right? Okay, so you have that moment because, like you said, it solidifies Mary in loving George.
Yeah.
Okay. We cut to the tape. I think him getting the suitcase also pretty great. Like, there's like the relationship, and then we have him, but he realizes what in that situation he ends up having to give it up for his dad. No.
So he's about to head out on his adventure.
Yes.
When dad suddenly
after Mary
dies.
Which again, so I think that like you said earlier, that could be shortened. So literally, like, he has a nice dinner and then goes out on the town, and then he has this moment with Mary, and he's like thinking, he's like excited. Maybe there's a moment like, just come with me. Yeah. No, or like Mary teases the idea of like, maybe she could go on the Avengers too.
Yeah.
And he misses it or whatever, or like the guy is like, why don't you kiss her? Like right after she says something, teases.
Yeah.
That could be a great line, right? We have a moment like Dad's there. We freeze frame again. It's fast forward. He's dealt with. He's like, look, George had, not only did his dad die, his brother went out to war. Like he's had to like carry this thing, like a little, not like maybe like a little quick montage of the angels like touch basing on little things, but we settle in with George actually doing one trip, because like Mary goes she goes to some college.
Mary goes off to college.
Where do we know where?
I don't know. I think they say it, but I can't remember.
I can't remember either. But I think like we could easily have like he's only taken one trip in his entire life, and just goes to see his friend, and Mary's there too. And they have a little moment that triggers her to want to do the painting. So he leaves, and she's like, she goes and starts to like sketch out or do something with this idea.
I like them being apart.
You do like them?
I do like that being apart. Maybe again show what's his face, George calling her over the phone. They keep some kind of long distance relationship, right? And show me why he falls in love with her, right? Like their love is but I don't think love for him is so strong that she's willing to do like a long distance relationship thing, and he relies on her to say like, yeah, unfortunately I'm stuck running Dad's business, and my money that I had saved for my college, now I'm giving it to Harry so that he can go to college.
Wait, so you're saying that they would have a relationship?
Long distance.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like they end up having a relationship before.
But they never see each other in person. It's just she's off to college those 3 years.
Okay, I'm okay with that too. I just figured because my thing was like, I think I like that there is a little bit of a like of her, I think what they were trying to do with the phone calls is her calling him out.
Okay.
But it's not done well at all.
Yes.
Like it's just like a weird, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a moment for her, like, because I like this idea that like she's just basically like slaps him upside. Like I want her to slap him upside the head, saying like, "Stop being so dumb and just be my man."
Yeah.
Like that's what I want, because I want it to showcase that like she understands, she wants him, and she has this dream, and she knows that she can support him, and that he's the man for her, and that they would be best together, right? Because he's so caught up in just always doing having to like, he's just always plowing on the field. He's always doing the work. He's always like, I mean, the perfect example is the other girl. What's the other girl?
Violet.
Yeah, like I think Violet obviously still a character, because like I think that her always trying to chase George, just for like.
Just for the chase?
Just chase.
Yeah.
Provides a great aspect. And again, just re-emphasize the fact that George, like, he's just up in his head because he's managing all these. He's like thinking about his brother. He's thinking about all the people that he has, which is like the friend aspect of there, where she helps to like direct him. Because like, I love the line of like, this was my dream. Or this is what I wished for all those years ago. And it's the house. And I love, her like building the house as he builds the rest of the community. I think that could be a nice parallel.
Love it. Oh, yes. That's great. I love that. I would love for someone to remake this.
But what I'm saying is like, because like I can see what you're saying. Like you want them to have I want to have them have a relationship, but I think there's power in the fact that like, she is there and saying, "I love you," all even after everything.
Yes.
And then having a moment of a good strong call of like, but I do think that there needs to be something of him. Maybe that is like her coming home for like one thing.
Yeah.
Or
in between semesters, whatever
it is.
No, yeah, and I think that's just what I want. Like I wanted that payoff of her to say like, no matter what happens, I'll be by your side, right? And that's why for me, like I would have loved for him to like have an opportunity to vent out to her, to be like, No, I'm not going on my adventure anymore because that died and I have to take over the business.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to college anymore because I have to take over the business and I'm giving the money to my brother so that he can go to college. No, he's not going to take over the business anymore because now he married some girl and her dad has a job for him. So now I'm stuck in with this job, right? And for her to be able to say like, I didn't marry you for these things. I love you, and you know.
What if every single time something happened, Mary's there as like that helps like get him out of his head and realizing it's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
right. Because
she's in the journey with him, right? Yes, George Bailey naturally, and because of the morals that his dad taught him, right? He is a good man. We know that. But every good man needs a little bit of guidance, direction. Every good person needs to be guided a bit, right? And to have had Mary be that role, that equal to him in saying like, yes, you can do this, and this is why. So and so relies on you, and I'm here to support you, and I'm here to, as you build a community, I'll be building my love for you, our home, my adventures as an artist, whatever it is. So obviously, she can draw. Like maybe she can start a little side hustle as a painter for the community. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But
I think she could be that she's involved with the rest of the community.
Yeah.
Because I love because the thing is like in the second act, Potter comes in aggressive with like trying to do the bank with the beginning of their marriage, right? They're about to start their own adventure. They get together. I think Potter coming in, putting the pressure, and then them doubling down on it. I think, like you said, maybe because there's a whole sequence of her like fixing up their house, but maybe she goes in and says like, "No, you can do this too," and it's like her involvement with the actual like the rest of the community as like. She's a strong staple as he is the one that like is help pushing things along and is like doing the big corporate battle. And so Potter and him have these little tough, and then the person saying like, look, these guys are doing great. Like this is what it's going to be at if this keeps going. Right. Yeah. Having that moment and then, that because like the money being lost, I don't know if is really strong enough to trigger. I guess I don't know. Maybe it is because
I believe it because Uncle Billy is an idiot.
No, I know. I guess we could keep that. And so like then he gets but the one thing is that like as Potter starts to press down on him. He gets stuck because we get it a little bit. He comes home late and the house is like, fresher or whatever. I just think we cut the house. The house is like a quick scene montage of like the community being built. Then it's like this report and it's like him pressing down, putting a lot more pressure. And when the Uncle Billy goes in to do the money, that the interaction with Potter, he actually steals the money rather than it just being like Billy being a whatever. And it then puts like this huge stress on the company and like whatever. And then everything else gets followed. And that's when he wishes. But I do think that Clarence, like as he starts to like get more involved, Clarence comes in to try to help just to like touch, like just to like start to get in his life. In some way, maybe like different. I don't know. Maybe not. Now I'm trying to think. How do we get Clarence? Do we get Clarence into that middle section? What if? What if?
Here we go.
Billy, you're just like Danny. Why do you keep talking?
No. Go.
What if Billy actually gets
Uncle Billy?
Uncle Billy. Gets possessed by Clarence, and that's
okay. Okay, now you gotta stop.
Okay.
No, there is a lot here to continue to flesh out the the relationship between Mary and George. You focus on that. You focus on the love that they have for each other, and how they support one another throughout each of these hiccups in life. and move forward. I don't know why. I'm thinking of the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe.
I've never seen that movie.
Okay.
I know people have. I've like recently I realized that I had never seen it, and someone had to stop the movie because they went to the other room because they're like, you can't have it this spoiled. Are you gonna spoil it for me right now?
Well, I mean, so real quick, the movie takes place over like a 30-year time span. Russell Crowe's character falls in love with Jennifer Connelly's character, and we see her support him throughout all of his issues. I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
But it's done really well because she really becomes that co-lead actress and character for him. And we see the toll that it takes on her as he's going through these challenges and how she continues to stick with him and support him and be by his side. But the toll that it has on her as well. And then the call it the payoff at the end. Okay. That's kind of more of what I wanted to see here. Have these two co-leads, co-stars, and the toll that it has on Mary and how she steps in and supports him and what she needs to do and pivot for her as a wife, as a mother, as a community leader to support George, to support the town, and the toll that it has on both of them rather than just him.
Do the angels even need to be involved?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have the supernatural element of what life would be like if he...
That's true.
If he wasn't born, right? Because that's his wish. He wishes he had never been born. I will say this, lastly, I mean, for a movie, for a 1946 movie, like, its depiction of like, suicide, like, very, very, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, very ballsy to, like, have that be the thing that leads him, right, in this movie. And you see that, like, it does well in, like, leading us to this point where he is now at this moment of desperation that he even goes to Potter, his arch nemesis, and says, like I need help. And he goes to his last resource, doesn't get the help that he needs, and now he's contemplating, like, and we see this like a lot where people feel like, and Potter has the line that says, like, you're worth more dead than alive, right? And, like, what a punch to the gut that is. That leads him then to say, no, I'm gonna kill myself now. I'm gonna commit suicide. So I think it does a great job. Also, listeners, here's the number to this National Suicide Hotline. Please reach out if you ever need anything.
Yeah, for reals. Look, if you ever are feeling down, like, we both have dealt with struggles. People who have dealt with in our family. I've had suicidal thoughts in my life, and it's not a pleasant feeling. So please, if you like are worried or if you're struggling through something, call that line, or just send us an email. You're at realchums.com. We'll listen and then respond accordingly.
Please do. So yes, I do think you do need that supernatural element to show him this man who's gone to this point, and bring in the angels there.
You know what I think it could be? Sorry, I'm just like thinking, because I do agree. You're right. It could be that Clarence is this random person throughout his entire life that he ends up engaging with at random moments.
Yeah.
That he then, when he gets to the moment of breaking, that Clarence steps up and tries to say, like, well, what is it you want to wish for? And he says, like, I wish I was never born. Yeah. And, that kicks off the third act. And I do think that for the most part, the third act can be roughly about what it is. The only difference is that I think the bigger aspect is, like, although I don't think Mary would be, like, I think she'd be with a person who didn't love her.
She would have ended up with... Okay, he would have ended up with freaking Sam.
Freaking Sam.
And the horrible live. You just have, like, a quick montage of her, like, rolling her eyes every time he goes, right? Like, and he does it repeatedly throughout their marriage.
I also think that, like, so, or even, like, it get to, like, she just is miserable. Also, like, everything that they like, all the people that they touched.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, again, same stuff. Anyways, and I think I think we could easily do that. Hour 50, maybe hour 45.
Again, which is what I thought that abridged version was on Freebie, but no, they just completely cut out the most crucial part of the movie. Yeah, look, I want to finish with this. I looked up Roger Ebert's.
Yeah. Okay. What did he have to say?
And I mean he gave it a 4-star out of 4, right?
Out of 4?
Yeah, that's how he used to do.
That's right.
Yeah, they used to do 4 stars. But this is the first paragraph of his review, and I'll just read the first paragraph. And I think as I read this, listeners, tell me, like, is this your experience? Quote, the best and worst thing that ever happened...
Sorry. What year was this? Is this when did he write this?
He wrote this in 99.
Okay.
Quote, the best and worst thing that ever happened to It's a Wonderful Life are that it fell out of copyright protection and into the shadowy no man's land of the public domain. Because the movie is no longer under copyright, any television station that can get its hands on a print of the movie can show it at no cost as often as it wants to. And that has led in the last decade to the rediscovery of Frank Capra's once forgotten film and its elevation into a Christmas tradition. PBS stations were the first to jump on the bandwagon in the early 1970s, using the saga of the small-town hero George Bailey as counter-programming against expensive network holiday specials. To the general amazement of TV program directors, the audience for the film grew and grew over the years until now many families make the movie an annual ritual. And he's got a point. This movie did not do well at the box office.
No.
It tanked. It didn't really... It didn't pick up its... People didn't pick up a love for it until the 70s, right? Almost 30 years after it released. And for me, and this is the last question I have, what's the rewatchability of this movie for you?
Are we doing like a scale or just like what do we?
However you want to define this. How often are you going to come back to watch this?
I don't know. Probably, maybe 5 years. Probably more. Like 5 to 7 years. I'd probably come back and rewatch this. I'm not gonna watch. Like, this is not one that I would like.
I'm not gonna. Okay.
I'm not gonna rewatch this every year.
Would you? When do you think you're gonna show this movie to your kids? Will you show this movie to your kids?
I probably would choose maybe if they get a little bit older and like, you know, I'm like, what movie could we watch? And I'd maybe put it on, but I don't. That's a really good question. I think again, and for me, like, I
cannot picture myself in the 90s, because this is like the prime time when this movie really picked up its popularity in the 80s and 90s. I cannot picture myself at any point being like, yeah, Dad, put on It's a Wonderful Life. This is it. This is the jam. Like, and we're watching this every year.
No, yeah, I would put It's a White Christmas. I mean, if we're like trying to focus around Christmas time, I'm gonna do It's a White Christmas 10 out of 10 every single time.
I can give you like 10 movies that I would watch yearly at Christmas before putting this one on.
So, I mean, there's a ton more that I would choose that are more modern, but I'm like trying to keep it like,
sure.
Anyways, but this movie, I don't classify this. I don't put this as a Christmas movie. This is literally just like a life crisis movie. I think maybe more, if anything, it's like maybe if my kids are having a hard time and they're like, Dad, why is life so hard? Like, and then me, I'm like, you know what? I have a movie.
Yeah.
That I would like. Let's watch. It's about a man who thinks it doesn't matter. Like, life doesn't matter because you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And we sit down and watch it, and I think that it's good. It's great for that, right? I think it's great for a moment to say, like, to be reminded that, you know what? So what if I'm not, you know, TikTok famous or whatever the kids at that whatever the social media platform that's going to take over in 2 years.
in 2 years. Yeah, I think that's just for me. I don't know when I'll revisit this again. I think I'll show my kids this movie probably after they've seen, like, you want a good Jimmy Stewart movie, honey? Like, let's watch, I don't know, Vertigo. What's the other one? Rear Window. Rear Window?
Oh, yeah, I think it's...
Or Secret Window. I always confuse Rear Window and the Johnny Depp Secret Window. Like, there are several other movies that, like, I'll watch if we want to do, like, a Jimmy Stewart marathon that I'll watch prior to watching this. But yeah, I don't see myself coming back to this. Definitely not during Christmas. This is not what I want out of a Christmas movie. I have to be in the right mindset to, like, watch this. And
that's an understatement.
And it's definitely not during Christmas.
I mean, I think you told me at least 4 times that you were like, I am not looking forward to watch this movie because it's over 2 hours and it's one that you're like, ah.
And now that I know, like, now that I've seen it, it's just like, yeah, I won't come back to it. Now, I'm not trying to, like, we're going to lose so many listeners over this. I'm not trying to knock anyone out or knock anyone down on the impact this movie is. But I would love to, like, I understand the power of nostalgia for a movie, especially. And I would love to just kind of have that conversation of, like what are the moments that you love about this movie and why are they so important and why for you it's a Christmas, like, this is the iconic Christmas movie.
Look, if anything, this movie would be a good television movie. If there's commercials or if they do it in, like, 2 parts, like, or, you know, some special thing, because, you know, like, when it came peak, because they didn't have to pay for some special additional production. I can see easily that it's something about, like, someone watches it and then they have, like, fun stories, and it's not about the movie, but it's about the memories that they've created. So if that is you, I agree. I want to know. But do you really like the movie?
Do you really like it? We hope you enjoyed today's episode and would love it if you could subscribe on whatever platform you get your podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to leave a review wherever you're listening. It really helps us get discovered.
More importantly, what did you think of It's a Wonderful Life? Are you a person that watches this religiously every single year? If so, we want to know why, like we said. But to join in, to share those conversations and those thoughts with us, be sure to follow us on social at Real Chums, or email them to us at your@realchums.com.
You can find me on Twitter at Marstrosity, MARZTROSITY.
And you can follow me at Review_TV.
Join us next week as we continue our month-long discussion on classic movies we haven't seen with The Sting.
With a Robert Redford, baby.
Another Robert Redford and Paul Newman movie. This was my pick, or my suggestion. People voted for this, so we're going to do it. And then, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this.
We'll see you in the next one.
Later.